I don't know where Natalie is.
No, Natalie's away.
Oh, Natalie is
That's
away.
Yeah, she said she wouldn't
Where's
be here.
Stacy?
Stacey's gonna be late. It's her daughter's birthday.
That's
And
not.
they're having cake. Okay. This meeting will come to order. May I have a motion to open?
So moved.
Mr. Stacy.
May I have a second?
I know.
May I have a second?
Second Bolton.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will now enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters and legal matters. May I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved, Person.
May I have a second?
Second Higby.
All in favor?
Aye. There you
I
go,
know, we're
guys.
all
Way to work
Jonathan, I'm
together.
sorry that I immediately forgot that you asked me to just tell you when we were getting ready to get started. As soon as I started talking, I'm
I see my sister got dressed up.
I thought you were serious. I was like, she did?
Never. Maybe your wedding.
I wanna make sure
Not that I wear it.
She is.
Literally doesn't.
That is so funny.
Oh, wow. Did you read it? You're not. Come on, we don't have time. Yes.
Now I gotta read that. We'll get that.
Oh,
I was
these
always
two.
first.
Oh, now I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Some new faces.
Listen, your tardiness will not be accepted.
It is 7:29 with 13 seconds.
It's 7:29 and 13 seconds.
You didn't bring any cake.
It's a big birthday today. Lainey turned 13.
Yes, there was cake.
We maybe would have forgave you if you
I
brought
know.
Yeah,
It's ice cream
Some
cake.
leftover cupcakes and cookies for us?
Sorry. I will, thank you. She has decided that she wants to do a photo shoot at the beach with her friends
Kids living their best lives, man.
on a to be determined date, not today. I was like, wow, like, can't we just have a sleepover? Can't we just like, I don't know, you know, yeah.
When was that for one?
I
I think if I was like this, I Okay, all right.
7:30, good to go.
Okay, all right. May I have a motion to open?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second Bolton.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Notice of this meeting of the Pitman Board of Education is advertised in South Jersey Times, posted in Borough Hall, a copy thereof delivered to all Pitman schools, due posted and posted on the district's website. Further, notice was posted and filed as required by law, stating that the board would meet in closed session at 7 p.m. in Pitman High School auditorium, the Pitman High School Media Center. The president shall entertain any objections with supporting reasons on the conduct of this meeting on the grounds that it violates the Open Public Meeting Act. Good evening and welcome to this evening's Pitman Board of Education meeting. Before I begin, on behalf of the Board of Education, we would like to offer our sympathy to the family, friends, and colleagues of Ashley Bitterman. Mrs. Bitterman was a classroom paraprofessional at Wall School while she was pursuing her degree in education. She was also the recipient of the 2020 Staff Member Award for Outstanding Service. Mrs. Bitterman was one class from graduating and in the midst of her student teaching when she was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Mrs. Bitterman fought valiantly for 2 years, but sadly passed away on June 26th. Simply put, Mrs. Bitterman was an incredible human being. She had such grace and patience with her students and was frequently described as a ray of sunshine. Mrs. Bitterman worked tirelessly to provide her students and their classmates with everything they need to have the most successful outcomes possible. She shared her musical talents with colleagues, other classrooms and grades, on the playground and cafeteria, and even during virtual learning. My youngest daughter very succinctly describes Mrs. Bitterman as always bringing joy. Mrs. Bitterman's legacy in our community is that of a gifted educator and will continue to live in her former students, classmates, and colleagues. Mrs. Bitterman leaves behind a husband, 2 daughters, and her family. I'd like to add on a personal note, and only on behalf of myself, and again on a personal nature, that Mrs. Bitterman's wishes in lieu of flowers was for donations to her young daughter's future. A trust is being established for Emery and Adelaide. The details can be found online for those who may be interested. They're being accepted via Venmo at @Bitterman615 or via checks to her beloved husband, Michael, care of the funeral home. So with that, if you could please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Long, will you please call roll?
Bolton?
Here.
Farrell?
Here.
Grossman? Present. Baby Iono?
Here.
Pope. Appilardo.
Here.
Moore.
Okay. It's going to bring us to our first public comment. The Public School Board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. This is the first of two public comments that we will have tonight. The first public hearing is on agenda items only. This is public comment and not a dialogue between the board and the public. You will have 3 minutes to speak and it is your opportunity to comment or ask questions. In accordance with board policy number 0167, we ask that you state your name, municipality, of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. To be recognized and speak, please stand behind the podium located to my left and speak clearly into the microphone for the folks at home. Anyone make a public comment? Seeing none, that's going to bring us to
Yeah,
correspondence. Oh, we do.
So this is the open forum part?
Yeah.
Well, it's just
Oh,
for
no.
agenda items that are gonna, there's gonna be
Okay.
for any topic like at the end.
So would you like for agenda items or for at the end?
Something off topic.
Off topic? Got it. Okay.
First word.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so that's going to take us to correspondence, and I'll pass these around. We did receive the 3 thank you notes from our retirees. Mrs. Hess, Mrs. Kowalski, and Mrs. Zimmerman sent them, so I'll send them around the table for everyone to take a peek at. And I will now move to accept a motion for the minutes of Pitman Board of Education as held on the dates listed below are approved as printed and reading dispensed with. May I have a second?
Second, Papalardo.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay, seeing none. We have some new faces up here this evening. We would like to welcome Dr. Preston on his first evening with Pitman Board of Education and Mr. Caltabiano as our curriculum director. So Mr. Miles will be back to joining us next week, but we're hoping that, you'll get to know our administrative team and I'll let them introduce themselves and share some more information soon. One of the things that we wanted to touch upon in the president's report was the committee structure and reports. We just thought it was a good opportunity to revisit this with members of the public. The way that we function as a board is that we have 3 standing committees. We have a committee that evaluates curriculum and instruction. Oftentimes it also looks at things like personnel. We have a finance and facilities committee, and then we have a communication and policy committee. Each of those 3 committees have 3 board members on them, and they operate on a monthly meeting schedule. The agenda items are driven by the superintendent and then also the committee chairperson. We typically ask that those board members kind of become experts in those areas, and it gives us all the opportunity to kind of do a deep dive into the information being presented on the agenda and any issues that are kind of facing the district at large. We do have some ad hoc committees, such as the data committee or the superintendent search committee, which we'll never do again. No pressure. We'll have a referendum committee likely. So there are times that we do convene those ad hoc committees, but those 3 standing committees are who meet monthly to review those items. Committee chairperson then prepares a report that the Board of Education has an opportunity, the remaining members have an opportunity to review in advance of the meeting. So at that point, if they have any questions, typically they would either reach out to Dr. Preston, and then if we had a question, perhaps as it pertained to finance, we would reach out to Dr. Preston and ask if we can directly communicate with Mr. Miles, or if Dr. Preston would like to take the question to him so that we can gain more information. So we thought it was just a good kind of fresh start to explain how we do business from day to day and what that kind of looks like. We do share out our committee reports and we have a public portion of them, but sometimes they're far lengthier as we kind of deep dive into those details. Another item that I wanted to update members of the public about is a funding formula legislative advocacy group that's being formed. It's loosely made up of some board members and superintendents in other districts. So I sat and met with the individual that's leading that group last week. She and I had coffee, and it looks like they'll have a meeting next week. I think if there's any other interested board members who'd like to join me, there'll be Zoom calls in the beginning. I extended an invitation to Dr. Preston and Mr. Miles if they'd like to join me. But please let me know as board members if that's something that you have an interest in. I'd be happy to add you to the Zoom call. I see lack of eye contact. Starting these to
No.
All right, that's my president's report. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Preston.
Sure. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. In February, when I was board approved in this very room, I said jokingly said my first order of business would be to get rid of that green wall. I can't take credit for that. I think the business administrator and the board got that ball rolling before I even started. So just my suggestion. There you go. There it is. So we don't have to look at that anymore. Nice calming look. I know it's already, some people walked in and said, what is this space? So the next thing that's coming up is carpeting, and it should look really nice in here. I just want to thank the board. I want to thank the public just for the warm welcome. I've had since starting on July 1st. Thank the board on July 2nd, they put on a little shindig where I got to meet community leaders, just kind of get a sense for Pitman, what it's all about. I put feelers out for all the staff, Pitman staff, to meet with me so I can kind of learn a little bit. I think I talked to Mr. Caltabiano and I said, we're going to be doing a lot of listening these first couple months, just really kind of digging in, trying to map the place, trying to really get a feel for what Pitman's about. I can tell you that I think I'm overwhelmed. I was at the July 4th parade. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of civic pride, civic engagement, just the passion people have for this town. That wasn't, I did not know about it. I was a town over. I worked a town over, and I just knew that there was always that Pitman pride. Wherever you go, you see it. So I really have felt a warm welcome. I want to also piggyback on Mrs. Miller. Mr. Caltabiano is our new director of curriculum instruction. He started July 1st as well. We've met with the administrative team. We're actually going to do a little administrative retreat next week. Have some team building exercises. Obviously, lean heavily on them for leadership and really kind of steer the district in the right direction here. Couple things, couple just announcements. Back to school nights. We've already planned those. Thanks to the administrative team. Memorials will be on September 17th. Pitman, these are all at 7 p.m. Pitman Elementary School will be on September 19th, and the junior senior high school will be on September 12th. There will also be open houses at Memorial and PES. I'm getting nods from the principals there, the illustrious principals. August 27th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. and Pitman Elementary School August 28th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Couple exciting things, and I know I see Ms. Sager-Miller here, excited. The central offices, which currently are housed in the Memorial School, will be moving to Walls School very shortly, by the end of the month, to make way, kind of faster than we had planned, to make way for the expansion of preschool classrooms. So if you're not aware, there's something called the PEA grant, not the Pitman Education Association, but the Preschool Expansion Aid. And that requires you to serve more of what they say your universe, which means all kids that are that age. And so this will allow for that expansion, and the memorial offices will eventually move into the central office to occupy that space. We will be in Walls School, second floor. We're still trying to figure all that out with the move, eventually to be housed, maybe repurpose the library there. So that's forthcoming. So in case you need to find me, I'll be at Walls. I wanted to give a shout out to 2 high school students who were selected to perform at the NJSBA convention. I thought that was pretty cool. All the board members will get to see them down there. That's a pretty cool feat. Sarah Mickle shared that with us. They put in for that this year in May, I believe. So that's
Yeah,
pretty exciting.
they're
Yeah.
going to be kicking it off, and
Yes.
it's well attended from all over the state.
Yeah,
So
so I'm sure we'll be able to publicize that once that happens as well. I want to thank Jonathan and Max. I've gotten to know them. They're doing yeoman's work over there, videotaping these board meetings. They one of the things that's forthcoming, possibly in August 1st, rollout of a new website, which will be really exciting. We'll be working with our leaders, getting our clerical staff, support staff trained on that new website. Obviously I know communication and clarity and looking at a website's important, even though sometimes we discount the importance of that. So it's certainly important in this day and age. So thanks to Jonathan and Max for kind of putting that together. Lastly, June Hibbs, there were 3 confirmed Hibbs. That concludes my report.
great. Thank you so much. I'm going to take us to finance and facilities, and I'm going to turn it over to committee chairman, Mr. Grossman.
Thank you. Finance and Facilities Committee met on July the 10th at 3:30 p.m. via Zoom. Meeting lasted approximately 50 minutes. In attendance were myself, Board President April Miller, Sarah Bolton, Board Secretary and BA Robert Miles, and we were extremely happy to welcome in our newly minted superintendent, Dr. Robert Preston. And then this business of education keeps growing. My numbers are all up in the agenda from, but among the agenda topics discussed and consent items on same, we discussed item, which is number 10 now, the NutriServe contract, which we actually agreed upon last month. However, we were told by the state we need to put the contract total amount in the agenda. So we're voting for that again tonight. That's item number 10. And other discussion items included, as always, the referendum. There was some asbestos discovered in the duct areas of the gym and locker room that needed to be remediated. Central office move, which Dr. Preston already addressed. And on our agenda item tonight is item number 11, the Kindle School Playground. I guess we're gonna have more discussion on that in a moment. And lastly, the board has not received tax levy payments from the borough as of yet. And we're awaiting those checks to arrive. So with that, is there any discussion on any of the items?
Yeah, I can expand on the item 11, Kindle, the Kindle.
Can we bring it to a motion in a
Yeah,
second?
sorry. Yeah,
More about the discussion of the
Okay.
committee report itself.
Gotcha, yeah, gotcha.
So with that, I make a motion to move items 1 through 15 for approval. Can I get a second?
Second Bolton.
Okay, any discussion, Dr. Preston?
Sure, no, I can elaborate now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Washington Township schools that are occupying Kindle, in our lease agreement with them, and in conjunction with the PEA, part of their lease agreement requires us to be amenable to any changes they would need to make that a satisfactory space for student 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. The existing playground equipment is not suitable. It's designed for really 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. So they need to put this in. We're in the process of figuring out what to do with the existing equipment, whether or not we might be able to fence that in, to see, we're trying to see their plans, what the footprint of that might be. So we will kind of take a look at that to see what might be best served for that space, because we know it's popular and frequently used by residents in that region, in that neck of the woods.
And I do believe the issue regarding the tax payment checks are on their way. Is that an accurate
That
statement?
is the last
If
thing
it's
we
been
were
resolved?
told,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
And if I could just add an additional note on item number 10. So one of the follow-up conversations that we had as a committee was regarding the profit margins, and
Yes.
that program still does operate at a profit. So we just wanted to kind of share that as a note, so that folks were made aware. But all of that said, if Mr. Long, if you would call the vote, please.
Yes. Bolton,
Yes.
Battle,
Yes, I have to abstain from number 12.
Grossman,
Yes.
Bibiano,
Yes.
Papalardo,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm just going to take us to curriculum and instruction. And I'll turn it over to Committee Chairwoman Mrs. Farrell.
The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on Wednesday, July 10th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. In attendance were Dr. Preston, Mr. Miles, Mr. Contabiano, Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Papalardo, and myself. In our meeting, we talked about just a few of the items on this evening's agenda. Everything is pretty straightforward. Item number 6 and 7 were extended as per the request of the Department of Education. Mr. Contabiano also brought us up to date with where we are with the new math program. We should be receiving the materials for Envision soon. Once the materials have arrived, the staff will be trained. Other things discussed were the admin retreat, which Dr. Preston already mentioned, and also Dr. Preston will be putting out a blast to juniors and seniors who would like to apply to be a student representative for the board. So the idea is to have 2 for
That's right.
this upcoming year. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 2 through 35 as written.
May I have a second?
Second, Papalardo.
Any discussion?
Can I ask a question on number 1? Just a head count.
Sure.
For state budgeting, does that affect every year, do they look, or is that like a 2-year lag? 'Cause, I mean, picking up 40 kids.
So actually, they use look, they're regretting it, yeah.
Yeah.
They
You
use
should know this.
they use a growth rate calculation. So we're actually continue to being penalized for our lack of student growth in the past. So even though we have now rebounded enrollment, we don't see those calculations. So they weight our entire formula against that negative growth. So they look back 7 years. And they use 2021's taxes in terms of the income that's represented, and they use 2023's equalization valuation for real estate. So the entire formula is based on essentially antiquated numbers. That's why one of the items that's being discussed are 2 enrollment counts. It was pending legislation. There was some pushback from a different market. It would have required districts to submit an enrollment count in October and in the spring. And then there was some discussion, because it's more work, that districts would not be required to do so. They wouldn't be, required to participate. But for districts like ours, it could provide a more accurate look and capture what our actual enrollment is. But unfortunately, there are portions of the state that have folks that are more transient in terms of the amount of time that they're in school, so it wouldn't be beneficial to them. So that was kind of the regional discussion that was going back and forth.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Is that including the preschool, like, did we bump up preschool numbers this year though too, or no, is that?
I believe that we did, right?
Yeah, that's like
Obviously,
Memorial,
and
yeah.
those would be
Yeah, that's all I
included
was
in
wondering,
counts
is if that
eventually, yeah.
was-
But that's the June 30th, so it would have been,
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah,
have
you're
to-
right, so
right.
it wouldn't have been in for this year anyway.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so then it's not technically including any expansion in our preschool program. Like, we really
the
are
next one.
legitimately up.
well, that's what's so frustrating about the growth
Right.
rate calculation, going back and looking at that historic lens, because they also weight the portion of our population for our special education and limited English proficiency population against what our prior years were, rather than what our current population is.
Mhm.
They don't do a census-based special education formula. So those are just further examples of where the formula is not adequately providing for our actual students that are in-house.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, seeing no further discussion, Mr. Long, could you please call the vote?
Most certainly, Mrs. Miller Bolton,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes, I have to abstain from number 3.
Grossman,
Yes.
DeBiano,
Yes, but I have to abstain from 30.
Papalardo,
Yes.
Miller.
Thank you. Okay, communication policy, I'll turn it over to committee chairwoman, Ms. Viano.
The Communication and Policy Committee met on June 8th at 4:30. In attendance were board members Natalie Pope, Melissa Farrell, and myself, our new superintendent, Dr. Preston, and business administrator, Mr. Miles. The committee had a light month this month. We discussed generally the areas the committee addresses and the process that Dr. Preston would like to follow when policy alerts are issued by Strauss Esme and policies may need to be revised. And with that, I move to adopt items 1 and 2 as written.
May I have a second?
Second, Farrell?
Any discussion? Seeing none? Any discussion? Okay. Go on, please call the vote.
Sure. Bolton,
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Grossman,
No, sir.
DeBiano,
Yes.
Papalardo,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
It's a lot harder than it looks, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Glad it's all rolled into
Is that why
flat
David's
meeting
laughing?
rate. All right. That's going to take us to our second public hearing. This is the second public comment. Please state your name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you recognize to speak, please come to the podium located here to my left.
Thank you.
You have to go to the podium.
We do. We have members at home that need to be able to hear.
I'm Jessica Hunkler. I'm here on behalf of New Jersey 4S. I don't know if anyone has heard of New Jersey 4S.
I'm sorry, could you just tell us what municipality you reside in?
What was that?
What municipality you reside in?
Gloucester,
And,
Washington Township.
got it. Thank you. No, you can still speak. Sorry. I just need it for a record.
It's my first one, like I said. But basically, I work for New Jersey 4S. It's a statewide initiative. It's doing prevention and mental health services for students. It's state funded, so it's free for schools. So we just wanted to come out to all the Board of Ed meetings to kind of introduce ourselves again. It started last July. So yeah, I'm Jess, I'm the lead clinician.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Is this part of the hub and spoke model that was out?
Yes.
Okay, rolled out. Okay. So this is just like an overlaid service over what was formerly youth-based services? Or is it providing additional support?
It's separate, so we can't
Okay.
be in a school that has school-based youth services.
Right, okay.
So there's them, and then we could go to other schools.
Okay,
We
so you-
provide preventative care and then short-term brief clinical services.
Okay. Preventative care. Okay. Thank you.
And we work with summer too. You know, if you guys have students who need mental health supports,
Okay. And where's your program currently based out of in our region?
it's in Elmer, on Harding Avenue, Elmer.
Okay. And do you expand into other markets, or will that be where you continue to provide services from?
Oh, we go into the schools.
All
And we can
throughout.
be virtual.
Yeah, okay. Great. Thank you. Do you have any information that you could leave with us or you could send to us in the
I
future?
don't have my card. That I
Okay.
gave to you guys.
Okay, that sounds great. Perfect.
Give support there.
That's great. Mr.
And we
Long
use
is filling in.
evidence-based practices.
Okay,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There you go.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to participate in public comment? Seeing no one, is there any old business? Any new business? All right, very good. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Pat Florida.
May I have a second?
Second. Higby.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next Board of Education meeting is scheduled for August 21st at 7 PM at the Pitman High School Media Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you.